like to apologize to the people up in the back row. I can't see you unless I go like this, so I just want to wave and say good morning. Well done to everybody who has made it here on day 2 of the Congress and day 2 of the strike. We're keeping it real here in London. I'd also like to welcome everybody who's joining us online. We are having growing numbers, so we cannot see you, but we definitely feel you, and we're paying attention to you on socials, and just we'll keep you looped in throughout the day. So it is wonderful to be here together. Where are you guys on your energy level? For those of you who were here yesterday, are you fried from too much stimulus, or are you like more? More. Yes. That is the right answer. We're going to have so much for you. So I want to welcome everybody who was not able to be here yesterday. You can catch up online for the stuff you missed. It's fabulous what was shown here yesterday. But welcome to the party for your first day if you're new to joining us. So my name is Stephanie Hare. I'm going to be your host again for today. I'll just be getting people on and off the stage and hopefully linking some of the talks we've had throughout the event. As ever, some housekeeping, hopefully a bit of a drill. It's like going back to school. We know what this is. Please be on time for sessions, just because it's, we're running trains here. This is not the TFL. This is the Congress. We've got to get this done. Stay connected via the app. The app, which is beautifully designed, is there to help you navigate this incredible building that we're very privileged to get to have the Congress in. It's got push notifications on it. It's where you sign up for your Hive sessions, which of course you've done already. But if you haven't, you're going to be doing this morning, so you can make the most of that in the afternoon. Please fill every seat. The Congress is sold out, so we need to be packed in, which is a chance for you to make a new friend, flirt, etc. Discuss design, obviously, why we're here. Breaks, we've got lovely long breaks, a really nice long lunch, so you can connect and meet people and really make the most of this time that we have together. And then explore. We've got a great bookshop here. We've got exhibits. And one that I wanted to call out in particular is the World Design Organization's poster exhibition, which is a collection of 30 posters of selected abstracts around the topics of policy, circularity, and regeneration. And they're going to be in the Congress Journal. So with that, let's go straight into our first session, which is going to be a powerhouse session. If you haven't had coffee, you won't need it. You're here, okay? We're going to start today with the scale of a product, then a building, then a bioregion, and finally with water, which of course covers 70% of the Earth's surfaces. These design luminaries who are about to join us on stage, we've got Leyla Acaroglu, Thomas Heatherwick, Jan Boelin, and Julia Watson. They're going to share their stories and provocations of how design must be used to regenerate our planet and restore our communities with nature and the people who live on this planet as the primary benefactor. So designing with planet as well as for it. So please join me in welcoming them onto the stage.
A few of you. How is everyone this morning? Yeah, you're having fun? So, why am I here with you all this morning? Well, before I get into the content, I've been asked to share a little bit about my design practice. So I'm a designer, industrial flavor. I'm also a social scientist, and I work in systems transformation. The majority of my work is with Fortune 500s, government agencies, looking at how we can design systems that really embrace sustainability at scale, whether it be through organic waste transformation or innovation. But I also really like to make things that help people make change. So I've designed a lot of interactive toolkits. I've created tools for the UN, the circular classroom, which is a popular one. I've also designed animation series, anything that can help people think differently about the way we design goods and services, how we can create products that make change. I also like to create exhibitions, I've done a couple TED Talks, maybe you've seen them. I also have LinkedIn Learning, and I ran something for the last 11 years called the Unschool of Disruptive Design, which is about transforming the way we create products and services to serve the planet. I also like it when I discover I don't know things. So I spent 4 years on an abandoned farm in rural Portugal learning how to be a regenerative farmer. Turns out shit is magic. That's a whole other talk, not for today. So I'm really into figuring out how we solve problems, and I was fortunate enough to be recognized for my work. In 2016, I was awarded Champion of the Earth by the United Nations for my work in advancing science and innovation for sustainability. I've developed a bunch of tools like the disruptive design method. I've run programs all over the world in systems change. I've written a few books, and fun fact, I launched a podcast 2 days ago, which is why I sound like this. Thank you. It's actually really a lot of work to do a podcast. Anyway, I now get to live and work on Wurundjeri land, which is part of the Kulin Nation in Naarm, which some of you will know as Melbourne in Australia. Right now, it is the wattle season, where you walk down a street and you are literally assaulted by the beauty of bright yellow blossoms beckoning in the transformation of the seasons from the cold winter to the vibrant spring. In fact, in Wurundjeri, there's 7 different seasons. We're about to go into the tadpole season. I didn't know this for a very long time, because even as an Australian, as a non-Indigenous Australian, I was not given any knowledge systems about the 65,000 plus year history of continuous culture of living interconnectedly and sustainably on the land in Australia. And the thing is that in many of the things that I'm going to share and that the speakers yesterday showed, and that many of you all probably are intuitively connected to, are Indigenous worldviews and wisdom sets that help us understand how we can undo the damage of the last 250 plus years of industrialization. Did you know that the Indigenous community make up 5% of the global population but protect 80% of the world's ecosystems? And for that reason, I want to actually extend my respect and acknowledgement of any Indigenous First Nations people in the room listening, because there is so much wisdom that we can learn for those of us who have been educated in traditional Eurocentric worldviews. Because we live in a time right now called the Anthropocene, a time marked entirely by humans terraforming the planet to meet our needs exclusively. And the dominant worldview that we have all been taught is anthropocentrism, which is essentially that we are the dominant force over nature, that we are the ones that have the control and the right to determine what happens to the rest of the living things on this only known life-sustaining planet in the entire freaking universe. We've created this ideology that has perpetuated our unsustainable lifestyles. We go to nature and we take resources. We do not account for the impacts of the destruction of the ecosystem that sustains the rest of life on Earth. And then we make products and then they ultimately end up as waste, which then continue to cause a lot of other problems. Do you know how many places they've found microplastics in the human body now? My favorite is testicles. That sounded really bad. Do not soundbite that. Oh, God. Just because I think that now that's happened, we're going to solve the microplastic problem. Just saying. So here's the thing. We're all nature. You're nature, I'm nature. You put nature in your body, nature comes out of your body. In fact, we're all in an interdependent relationship with phytoplankton that is currently producing 50% of the world's oxygen. And just like the trees and the mycelium network that invisibly lives under the ground creates a symbiotic relationship for all of nature to exist, because trees can photosynthesize, and it turns out that if you live under the ground, that's not your job. Your job is to break things down. You are able to get the nutrients from the trees photosynthesizing for you to survive. That is the relationship we all have with plants that turns sunlight into energy to fuel our bodies, which means you're all eating sunlight, just saying. Only when you eat a broccoli and so forth. Our ability to understand our relationship with nature is dramatically declining. A recent study, actually, out of a university here in the UK shows that we have an extinction of experience, that in the last 200 years, we have lost 60% of our direct relationship. And it's evidenced through things like words like moss and river and blossom are being eradicated from our language, and dictionaries are taking out words that define nature and replacing it with words that define technology. And if you go and look up the dictionary definition of nature, I guarantee you it will talk about a separation between other living things and humans. But what are you? Are you a biological being, or are you a humanoid? We have a nature knowledge deficit. We don't understand how nature works, therefore, we can make decisions that hurt it at our own expense. So who here works in product design? Any form of physical products? Who makes things? What do the rest of you do? Are you at the right conference? They're like, there was some snacks, I just decided to wander in. 9:30 on a Wednesday morning in London. Anyway, so basically, if we make products, we are directly drawing on the natural world in order to create products. That's like 101. But the thing is that the history of industrial design is very, very, very tied up with the Industrial Revolution, which was pretty cool if you think about it. We did a lot of really amazing things to elevate our life. We all live a long time now. We've solved a lot of medical issues. So there's a lot of advances here. But we are now also becoming aware of the consequences of our actions. And as we needed to make more stuff, we needed to extract more resources. And to do that, we needed to create a colonial system. And I know this is uncomfortable, but literally my title is Sustainability Provocateur, so I would not be doing my job. Industrial design is the engine of consumerism. We design the things that make money for the rest of the economy. But our systems do not account for the cost of extracting from nature and returning materials back in an unsustainable way. Everything, absolutely everything comes from nature. Something as simple as a chair will require so many different machines of extraction to occur, whether it be the materials or the dyes. And there's the obvious parts of the system that we all can figure out, but then there's these kind of spaghetti lines that go back out into all different systems. But most people don't understand the impact of their decisions. And I'm not here to depress you all first thing on a Wednesday morning. I promise this will get better. Just stick with me. It's going to get a little bit worse before it gets better. So it's like therapy. When it's really bad, you know something good's going to happen. Okay, so basically, this has all created new forms of colonization, meaning that we go to try and solve our problems, we're using the same models that created the problems to begin with. For example, in our race to electrify in the green economy, there's this whole phenomena called green colonization, where those very lands that are protected by the indigenous populations are now being mined for the materials to create the batteries to make it possible for us to all feel not guilty about climate change, rather than actually redesign our entire system that would actually probably solve the problem at the beginning. That's too much work though, isn't it? We'd have to redesign everything, which would be a very good job for us, I would say, and perhaps a really good future for all of us smart people who know how to create products and services, right? What an opportunity. Rather than being the engine of consumerism, we could be the pathway to a more regenerative future. Because The waste at the end that is completely not designed for creates even more problems. And then now this is creating, combined with fast-moving consumer goods, another problem called waste trafficking. I know, it's going to get better. Waste trafficking, that's where rich countries like ours don't like to dig holes and bury their shit in it, so they put it on the empty container loads and take it to countries where there are people who are not able to get perhaps safer employment opportunities, and they then process the waste. So we heard about this yesterday in relation to the fashion industry, but the technology sector, it's bad. Around 50 million, or maybe it's billion, fuck, I can never remember. It's a lot, according to the UN. It's a lot. A significant amount of technology is illegally trafficked around the world, so that the piece of technology that you probably got given or bought and didn't want and you ended up donating to be good is now probably sitting in a fishing village in Thailand or a community in Ghana where somebody's had to burn it to get the raw materials that are worth something, because that is the world we live in when we do not design products that take accountability for the full system that it exists within. Now, there's a lot of science that shows that we have been dramatically extracting resources at a faster rate that the Earth can replenish them. These are fantastic. The Great Acceleration graphs are the proof of the Anthropocene, and they show that we just keep getting stuff and going up, the hockey stick curve. And it's not every time we extract, we hurt. We hurt the natural world. And you know what? Because we're nature, who do you think we hurt? This is a 101 question I feel you can all answer. Who do we hurt? You all get a point. So part of this problem, it is not our problem as the design industry, it's the economic problem that we have externalities that we don't account for. So a tree has no value in our current economy until it's cut down and turned into chopsticks for your lunch, right? But I think that model has made it easy for our industry to externalize accountability for the destruction that our industry has. Because we exist in this economic model of externalities, we as an industry have externalized the responsibility of our impact. And this is also partly because the majority of design is entirely profit-centric, in the sense that most of us sell our creative skills on a market to produce products that then other people make money out of. And we tried to fix this by thinking, well, you know what? Maybe we should also make it that the things we make don't hurt people, and we should probably make it so it's accessible and frictionless and beautiful. But we're just at the burgeoning area where we're like, what if we can actually center not just humans, but other living things? So we've got this life-centric design movement, and we're building up to this nature positive that is not just about thinking outside of the spectrum of the Anthropocene, but designing for things that are regenerative to the systems that we all need. Because you know what? There's actually no design industry that creates cool products if there's no nature left. And maybe we can evolve to that point where we don't even need to name it. It just is. We get to, like enlightenment, where you don't need to define because you are just one. Could you imagine the kind of power and influence that we could have if our designs met human needs in ways that respected other living things and that provided a regenerative force on the planet? That would be pretty fucking cool. The thing is that we've had a lot of battles as a society where we've had to really rectify wrongs of the past. I certainly benefited from the suffragettes. Who else benefited from the suffragettes? It's not just women, it's people of color, Indigenous people, people who realize that everybody, everything, every living thing has rights. I'm giving myself goosebumps. Sorry. Because this is the thing, it's so fascinating that we just do not give any rights to the systems that sustain us, but there is a movement. There is a movement for the rights of nature. And this is happening all over the world, where you have pioneering legal systems that are figuring out how does nature get internalized into our systems of governance, So you have countries like Ecuador that have put a constitutional reference to the rights of all living things. You have a river in Aotearoa, New Zealand that has personhood. In fact, there's over 500 rights to nature rules around the world right now. Did you guys know about that? Good, we should hang out. Also, you're in the right conference then, if that's the case. But not only that, we're also seeing this idea that nature can have a seat at the table in the boardroom, where an individual is legally bestowed with the right to represent nature's interests in the discussions of a company's decisions. And again, here in the UK, the first company in the world to do that, Faith in Nature, that make body products, cleaning products, they were the first to appoint a nature guardian. And this isn't just some symbolic act, it's literally in the constitution of the company. That there's a person who gets to speak for nature and the decisions being made by the company. There's another company, House of Hackney here, who followed suit. And they create like, what's it called? Wallpaper? Paints? Same. There's even one in Australia. This is a burgeoning field where you have a legal opportunity for nature to be seen in the decisions that affect it. And then on the ground within the design industry, there are things like, how do you not center humans when you're designing a product or a service? Have you guys tried thinking about personas that are not from the perspective of just your users, but from the perspective of the species that are affected by the choices you're making? I didn't even know about this. I've been doing this for 20 years. The thing is that it's actually quite hard to know everything that you need to do to make change in the world. I'm going to admit something. It's kind of embarrassing. So bear with me. So I've run this school for 11 years called the Unschool. We had a very sexy website, like, you know, but it was kind of like digital hoarding. Like the back end was really messy. It's actually called dark data. I didn't know this at the time. Then these website calculators came out. In fact, to be honest, I didn't even know that the internet had a physical footprint until maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And then I was like, that makes sense. Now we all know because of AI. But anyway, so we ran our website through the carbon calculator, and we were the worst on the internet. Like an E. The worst. 98% of websites were worse. Like thousands of people are coming to learn about how to change the world, and my website's basically like a high-rise with all of its lights on in the middle of the night, wasting energy. And I was like, this is so embarrassing. What have I done wrong? How do we fix it? Thankfully, I wasn't the only person trying to figure this out. There's lots of people. There's the same people who developed this accessible web guidelines, released last year the sustainable web guidelines. There's a QR code, you can grab it. And then also, there was all of these different people who were creating content around like green coding and lightweighting and the colors. Did you know blue's really bad? Anyway, whatever. There's all this stuff that's happening. We figured out what we needed to do. We hired a cool company who's doing it. We didn't have a huge budget, so we didn't get all the bells and whistles that we want, but we did redesign our website. It took 8 months, and we are now A+. And somehow we've had some, like, our sales have increased since that. So I would say somehow we also fixed a problem that I didn't know we had. It's actually quite surprising how big of a difference it is when you look at the original data. It's a significant amount of internet impact. So the thing I'm trying to say is that we can have these big problems about the world, but we can also make choices that actually do have an impact. And we need to, as designers, understand the agency that we have within the systems that we work within. One thing that frustrates me so much, I mean, there's a lot of things that frustrate me about the design industry, but that a lot of leaders like to say that designers do not have power. Who's heard this? Who's heard a leader say it? No one? I hear a lot of design leaders say the problem is designers don't have power. That's why they can't do sustainability or regenerative design. That's why they're stuck in the consumeristic loop. The thing is that everybody has power. You have to choose to take it and use it in a way that's going to have an impact. And there are people doing that, like Jo and her team, Mamara, shout out to Jo, designing really cool products. And if you talk to Jo, sorry Jo, I'm pointing you out here, but if you talk to Jo, she'll be like, I just learned how to do it. I stumbled through it, right? Like, it's not like you wake up one day and you're suddenly an expert in this. It takes time, it takes work. There's all sorts of new biomaterials that are transforming industry that have formerly said, oh, we can't have bio-based materials. There's so much happening in this space, and this is the thing. I think it's very easy to deflect accountability to other parts of the system. And to say, well, yeah, I don't have power, or I need to pay my mortgage, and blah, blah, blah. Whatever, I get it. Life is complicated. We all have our stresses. But I know that there are people in this room who are already doing this. I know there are people who are already making the effort to know their impact. And I'm going to ask something slightly uncomfortable of you all. I'm going to ask you to stand up. I'm going to ask you to stand up. If you're working, oh God, you give me goosebumps. If you're, can I cry? Oh. Are you all just standing up now? I'm actually going to cry. Give yourself a fucking round of applause. I was going to say you need to take accountability and accept the challenge, but I think you guys are already doing it, so thank you. Thank you.